The Baragaki arc, the Thorny arc, whatever you want to call it. I've gotten lots of requests for this one, and so I'm really happy to have finally gotten around to watching it. And I do also need to apologize for not having any live reaction to this. I believe someone requested a reaction for 247, but I just couldn't get around to, I couldn't get the TV and a quiet room to myself, and I didn't want to wait any longer to watch because I'd already watched the first several episodes of the arc, and I'm also trying to catch up as quickly as I can. Still wish it would have been fun. Those last 2 episodes in particular were fantastic. Regardless, this is a Shinsengumi arc we're talking about, and those episodes are always some of the best, and Baragaki was no exception. Though this one definitely focused more on Hijikata individually than the other ones have. Like Tetsunosuke gets pinned on Hijikata, we get Hijikata's backstory, and the central conflict is Sasaki versus Hijikata. But I'm really happy he sort of gets, like, his own arc. Every time the story focuses in on him, especially, like, the little glimpses of his past, I love it. It's one of my favorite directions for Gintama to take. So, what do we have in this arc? A lot, actually, and also a lot of it felt like set up for the future of the story, particularly with the introduction of the Mimowarigumi, another police force in the service of the Bakufu. And I know that they do play a larger role in future arcs, like I keep getting glimpses of them when I see bits of everything that's airing right now. And I think they're in the Courtesan of a Nation arc as well. But never mind that. Here's the first time they take the stage. The younger half-brother, Sasaki Tetsunosuke, of the chief of the Mimowarigumi, Sasaki Isaburo, is given to the Shinsengumi. And the guy is an absolute wreck. Like, there's no apparent redeeming qualities in this guy at first sight. He's annoying, he has no sense of responsibility, he has a penchant for swearing in English for no good reason, and he raps to start off every episode of the arc. It's unacceptable, you know? And of course, he is placed in Hijikata's custody. Mr. I will make you commit seppuku if you break any one of my rules. And I'm not going to lie, part of me really wanted to see him go all Demon Vice Chief on the kid, like in his little daydream, which I found absolutely hilarious for some reason. But Toshi is something of a decent person, and so he just tries to be patient with the guy, making it very clear that in this line of work, if you don't follow the rules, you're going to be weak and you're going to get yourself or your comrades killed. It takes a while, but it ultimately gets through to him, like particularly when Hijikata stands up to him before his brother, who is a jerk, but a very interesting one, and I'll talk a lot more about him later, but for now, more Toshi. This is also Hijikata's backstory arc. We've gotten some in the past. I'm thinking of Mitsuba, the Yagyu arc, both of which were the first times his character really caught my attention, and so I really do love those arcs and the development that we got there. But there was just something about this one in particular, the additional layers that we got, that I found very striking. Like, I didn't know I had an older brother, let alone one he cherished so dearly. You never would have guessed it. Cherished to the point of killing to protect or avenge him when he was just a child. Cherished to the point where he still, like, writes letters to him, even though he's dead. Like, where did all this sudden additional depth come from, Toshi? I'm happy that you've got it, but I'm just like, I never would have guessed that it was there. But it's also sort of subtle in a way, which is sort of weird for a shonen anime. Like, none of this sets him on, like, some grand quest for revenge or anything like that. It puts him out on the streets and forces him to fend for himself, and so he becomes cold, he becomes incredibly talented with a sword. And that's just the person he is, Baragaki Toshi. And it's somewhat down-to-earth in a way as far as backstory goes, even though it's terrible, and I really liked that. Then obviously Kono takes him in, the Shinsengumi is formed, we know all that. And in like the time in between those two parts of his life, he sort of becomes a little bit of a different person. I can't help but notice that there's a real difference between the lawless Baragaki and the demon vice chief, just like in their stances towards rules, making sure everything stays in line. And it is like interesting, I think, how he turned out the way he did. But what really matters here is that Hijikata remembers being in that position. And so he gets really frustrated with Tetsunosuke for being that sort of person, but also really and sincerely hopes for his future, and that he doesn't end up making the same mistakes that he did, so he can reform himself, get stronger himself. Like, this is why he wants to save him so much during all the events that unfolds. But, like, he also doesn't think that he can save him himself. All he really wants to seem to do is give him an opportunity, a chance to get to better himself, to become something. That's all he really can do, after all, as he's still a work in progress himself, especially considering the fact that Hijikata still something of a Baragaki himself, still willing to be a little bit lawless when he really needs to be. And he definitely really does this arc. This stands in total contrast to Sasaki Isaburo, who has no such sympathy for his half-brother. He's just like, Joey, have my half-brother hostage? Nope, no negotiations. Get the Joey, let him die. I don't really care. Oh well. And we're not here to save criminals. We're here to punish them. His justice is cold, mechanical, and absolute. And Hijikata doesn't take well to that at all. Honestly, so much of this arc is literally just the two of them arguing with each other, occasionally crossing blades, and constantly spitting insults. Some great fight scenes, by the way, and the dialogue is top-notch as well. I loved the way that they sort of just, like, picked each other apart little bit by little bit. It was really interesting to see how their characters played with each other, and then we have Gintoki added in. It was just very interesting character dynamics we had going on throughout this entire arc, which is the reason why I really, really enjoyed it. But I'm also not going to lie. I kind of like Sasaki. I don't know. Just like, one thing I found really interesting about this arc is that there wasn't really a villain here, per se. The Mimawari-gumi are definitely the antagonists of the arc, but this is really just two different police forces with two different ideas of justice. I can completely understand both Sasaki's and Hijikata's positions, whether or not this one person should be saved at the expense of losing a chance to corner known criminals. It's an interesting question, and not an easy one. Like, the thing you'd immediately characterize as moral would be save the innocent person, and you can definitely sympathize with Hijikata's additional reasoning of wanting to save someone who mirrors the person that he used to be, and of course he's our main character in this situation, so of course we're going to root for him by default. But really, as the police, shouldn't you really focus more on eliminating a threat to the wider public that you've been entrusted to protect? And you really shouldn't be letting personal attachment to things get in the way of action? And so really, my question isn't which was the right decision, but what drove Sasaki to be so cold? What brought him to the point where he doesn't care if his half-brother lives or dies? Like, he doesn't even hesitate. To the point where he sincerely seems to believe that everyone is nothing more than a cog in a wider system, that they exist solely for that purpose. And that it's fine for him to be nothing more than that, to the point where he takes issue with people straying from that system. It's so distant and so mechanical and so inhuman. Like, he's not a bad person. He really is just seeking justice. Like, when Hijikata and crew do get Tetsunosuke out of there, he's just like, yeah, fine. You're still a problem, Hijikata. You're still a thorn in my side, but I'm not gonna, like, further instigate this conflict. He's just incredibly merciless and utilitarian. And so I can't help but think that there's something more to him, and I really want to find out what that is. Plus, he's kind of funny, honestly. Just, like, the contrast between his normal self and his cell phone self, for one thing. He's got this slightly awkward stiffness about him that's kind of endearing in, like, everyday conversation. And then he's a complete and utter dork that can't shut up for 2 seconds when it comes to using his phone. Like, when he was texting Gintoki, not able to go 5 seconds without sending another message about donuts or about being lonely or whatever. Gintoki's just, like, flipping out the entire time. And when, like, the second phone slid out from behind Gintoki, it was hilarious. But long story short, I want to see more of Sasaki in the future. That's definitely sure about that. And Nobume, she is great. Like, getting the chance to see someone who can go toe-to-toe with Sogo of all people, it was incredible. Like, there seemed to be instantly something of a mutual understanding and connection between them, just like in the way that they fight, the fact that they've both taken so many lives. It's a very interesting dynamic that I can't wait to see more of, honestly. And just like the fight scene itself was so cool. It's like, in general, this arc was very visually, very aesthetically, very in terms of animation. It was fantastic. Also, Sasaki using donuts to fish for her in the rubble. God bless them. I'm guessing that donuts are going to be something of a running gag between the two of them, considering that's like the second or third time just in this arc alone that donuts came up with Sasaki. Also, I'm trying to figure out the meaning of that last Takasugi appearance. That took me completely by surprise. Like, is Takasugi connected to these guys somehow? Like, we know that Takasugi is trying to overthrow the Bakafu. Why would he be dealing with the Mimawari-gumi, who should be protecting them? Unless he's maybe simply trying to infiltrate it and then later betray it, as he did the Harusame, in spite of their disparate goals. But really, more so, why would someone like Sasaki be dealing with the leader of possibly the most radical faction of the Joey without arresting him on the spot? I don't know, like, both Sasaki and Takasugi seem to be nihilistic to a degree, but Sasuke's more of a just do your duty and play your part because nothing else matters, and Takasugi's more like destroy everything because nothing matters and this world is awful and rotten and horrible. Like, I can't make heads or tails of this development, but I'm very curious to see what, if anything, comes from it. It could just be just like, oh yeah, Takasugi's back in Edo, so things are going to be happening very soon. And again, I suppose my questions really do come down to, why are you doing what you're doing, Sasaki? Why are you this way? Like, I feel like I sort of get Takasugi. Sasaki, not so much. I knew that this character would be appearing for the first time in this arc, but I didn't expect to develop something of a fascination with him at this point at all. Also, Gintoki, of course, I love Gintoki. He was really a bit of a loose cannon here, honestly, but definitely helped to more fully round out Hijikata's position, his argument in defense of the way he is as a police officer, how the Shinsengumi work as opposed to Morigumi, and why he's defending, of course, Tetsunosuke. But the two of them are really incredibly similar. We've known this for a long time. They play off of each other fantastically in spite of their own apparent mutual dislike. And I was also thrilled to see him finally announce himself as the Shiroyasha to the Shinsengumi. And the fact that they still tried to arrest him after this, well, I loved it. Like, I was really wondering when the secret would get out, because, like, we all know he was with Katsura, we all know he was with the Joey, we've known this forever. But the Shinsengumi have known nothing this entire time, even though they've spent so much time together. Just like 246, 247 episodes, and he just decides to admit it out of nowhere, tickle it about being one of the most infamous of the Joey, to Hijikata himself. And I'm a model citizen now. Just the way that the animation went all sparkly and shoujo for a second. I hate to break it to you, Gintoki, I love you, but a model citizen you are not, as much as you made me laugh in that moment. Regardless, I think that's really all I've got for this arc. It was excellent. But, onto a question. For the next 3 arcs, the Encho-sen ones, Gintama, Courtesan of a Nation, and Beam Sword style, or whatever it's called, the lightsabery one, and do we want any live reactions or reviews for that? A Gintama review has been requested, and I'm definitely reviewing Courtesan of a Nation. But does anyone want anything else? Live reactions, particularly stuff related to the Courtesan of a Nation, because I do believe that that is the biggest of the next 3, insofar as it relates to the wider plot of Gintama. So I would guess that there are some reaction-worthy things going on there. But, yeah, Gintama, you all know I love it so much. I'm catching up, I'll be up to date soon. My goal at this point is to watch the final episode when it is released, with all of you guys. That's what I'm hoping for. I don't know if I'm going to pull it off. I've got about 10 days or so. 10 days and 60-something episodes. We will see what happens. But, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, this review. Like, comment, subscribe, recommend some other arcs or episodes, but that's all for now. I'll see you soon.